Today I'm going to be reviewing the 2019 Bahrain Grand Prix. This is the second race of the Formula One season, and it's a lot better than Australia for overtaking, and it showed. A lot of action happened in the first few laps, and not just the midfield teams, which we expect, but Ferrari and Mercedes were actually getting on some action. What a race, actually, for them. The race started, and Charles Leclerc was in pole, but Sebastian Vettel actually got the better start, and he took the lead quite early on. And Charles got a poor start. He actually dropped it third, almost fourth, but he hung on, and eventually he got past the Mercedes, and eventually he took the lead from Vettel. So good job for Charles there. Next, we have a bit of an issue. In the first lap, Grosjean and Stroll collided with each other, and it basically ruined the races. And a few laps later, Verstappen and Carlos Sainz in the McLaren. The McLaren's actually keeping up a decent pace compared to the Red Bull, and I'm kind of wondering where was Red Bull in this track, because they were basically dead silent. They were nowhere, to be honest. Gasly didn't do a very good performance again, but Gasly didn't do a great performance again, but it it isn't that impressive. But to be fair, the Red Bull hasn't been that great this year so far. We will see in tracks like Mexico, Monaco, and Austria, because those are probably better tracks for the Red Bull, because there are less straights there and more corners. So we'll see what Red Bull does there. The Mercedes were not as quick as the Ferraris, but things happened and Ferrari messed up big time. First of all, the teams were debating on the one-stop, two-stop strategy, and Renault tried to do that with Daniel Ricciardo, but it didn't really pan out well. But hey, that resulted into a Renault car, the Renault Daniel Ricciardo, leading for a slight moment. And they actually posted that as their Twitter header, so good job on Danny Rick there. And Renault, they started out pretty well. Hulkenberg, like I said, started 17th on the grid, but he actually managed to finish. He was about to finish P6, but then things happened, which, oh boy, classic Renault. Also, in other notable drives is, I think Alex Albon scored his first point, so good job on Alex Albon. Kimi Raikkonen scores again for Alfa Romeo, while Giovinazzi was just outside the points. Gasly scored points, but it's not in a great position. So there are only like 5 drivers left who have, I think there are like, 5 or so drivers that haven't scored points yet. Basically, the two Williams haven't scored points. Sainz, Ricciardo, and I think Grosjean. Yeah, Grosjean has not been classified yet. G hasn't been classified yet, I think. And the two Force Indias, I think Perez scored a few points, so good on Perez. Overall, the race was great. A lot of overtaking, but a lot of great action. Then as soon as the Ferraris went for the two-stop strategy, and they didn't go for the undercut for Hamilton, so Hamilton pitted first before Vettel. And then there was this tight battle between Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. And then disaster struck when Sebastian Vettel spun around like he usually does in Monza last year, Suzuka, Austin, Texas. He spun a lot last year, and he did it again, and it's kind of disappointing. They didn't even touch, I think, the wind or something. Kind of disrupted his race, but I don't know what happened. But hey, look, Charles is still leading comfortably with like a 10-plus lead in like 11 laps to go, but disaster struck when I think one of his cylinders broke, and he was running really slowly, and he was losing all the pace, and he was just basically trying to at least finish the race with points, and Lewis Hamilton overtook him, and eventually Valtteri Bottas, who was 30 seconds behind before the incident, so he was really going slowly. And the Red Bull Max Verstappen was in fourth place mostly because of Sebastian Vettel needing an extra pit stop, and it ruined his race. But luckily for him, the Renaults retired. I think specifically Daniel Ricciardo's car was parked in the wrong area, so the marshals had to pull it out. So the safety car was deployed, and luckily for Leclerc, that saved his podium because the car was failing. He probably, if it wasn't for the Renaults, he probably wouldn't even finish on the podium, which is such a disappointing result because of how good his weekend was. And a failure with just 10 laps to go, it was just heartbreaking. Kind of reminds me of heartbreaking losses like Valtteri Bottas last in Baku. His tire just blew up, and then Daniel Ricciardo's pit stop in Monaco. He had that win, but Red Bull messed up the pit stop. And yeah, overall, even though the race had ended in a heartbreak, it was an amazing race, and yeah, I just wish the results fared better. Alright, that's